everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Christina and today I have the Get Ready With Me, but today we're doing the Q&A Get Ready With Me, and I'm really excited because you guys gave me a lot of really good questions. Now before we get into all of the questions and all of the getting ready, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I do upload every single day, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. PST, so if you're interested in seeing more Get Ready With Me's, makeup reviews, any project planning, I do all of that on this channel, so just make sure to hit that button before we get started. And now let's just jump on over. If I sound nasally still, it's because yes, I am still sick. I've been sick all week now, and I've kind of just given up trying to sound like a normal human. I have been taking medicine, so I don't really know what's happening. I don't really seem to be getting any better. Also, I know I'm rambling. I have my foundation, my eyebrows already done because I had a different video I needed to film a part 2, so we're multitasking today. We're doing a lot of things at once. But now I'm just gonna pull my phone up. I'm going to pull up my last Get Ready With Me where you guys left a bunch of really good questions, and we'll go ahead and do the rest of my makeup and chit chat a little bit. So I have the video up. I'm just gonna go in order of the questions that pop up first, if that's okay. I'll be putting them up on the screen for you guys too. So my first question that pops up is from Amber. Her first question was what I studied in college, which was English, and why I picked it. So I graduated from high school in 2008. In 2008, I enrolled in a liberal arts college, and when I originally enrolled, my major actually wasn't English. I was actually originally a journalism major because when I was in high school, I was part of like the high school yearbook club, yearbook class, and I always liked writing. Writing is like one of my biggest passions. I mean, I've talked about being really artistic in high school before, but writing was kind of my thing too. I was in art classes and I was in like advanced writing courses. I have a few trophies on my bookshelf from writing competitions. I mainly wrote poetry in high school, so it was interesting to me that I don't know why when I started college I did journalism, because I was in yearbook, and while I enjoyed yearbook in high school, I don't like journalistic writing. It's not my jam. I don't like it. So I was actually a journalism major, I believe only one semester, and after that first semester in college I was like, forget this. So then I went undeclared for I think one semester, and then by sophomore year in the first semester I changed my major again to secondary education, and I was like, I'll just be a high school English teacher. I did that for a semester, and I wasn't doing my internship yet, obviously, because I'd only been in one semester, but at the school I went to, the education program is really good, and they like to get you in classrooms as soon as possible. That way, if it's something that you're not going to like, you don't have to wait till senior year during your internship to realize, wait a minute, I don't want to be in a classroom. So in my first class, I was already in a classroom, and that's what happened to me. I have come to the realization that high school students scare me, especially with how young I was. I mean, I was only like a few years older than them at that point, and I just felt out of control. It didn't feel like something that I would enjoy. Long story short is they got me in a classroom. I didn't like it. I realized that I'm not very good with high school students or with kids. I'm not good at it. I don't enjoy it. It makes me really anxious, and so I changed my major again, and I eventually changed my major to English because I wanted to pursue writing in some aspect or editing in some aspect, and it just seemed like the best choice. At this point, I was almost a junior in college, and I was like, I really just need to have a major. I need to get this done and over with. And hindsight being 2020, and I feel like I'm not alone in this completely, I wish I would have waited to go to school. So I picked my major out of necessity, not out of because I knew what I wanted to do. Looking back, and me and my husband have talked about this many times before, looking back, I wish I hadn't gone. I wish I hadn't have gone to college when I did. I wish I would have waited, but I could ramble about that for forever, so I'm gonna just move on to the next question. The next question she asked was, how'd you meet your husband? We met in the typical way. We met online. The last question she asked was, how'd you get Wallace? And this is a fun one. So I adopted Wallace when he was, and if you don't know who Wallace is my dog. I adopted Wallace when he was 4 months old. And at the time I was still in college, so I adopted him in, it was 2010. I was a junior in college. I had just moved out into my first apartment, and I was working at a dog boarding place. So like when you go on vacation and you board your dogs, I was working at one of those, and I was working at a really nice one. Like the one I worked at, like the dogs had their own like individual rooms with like actual beds in them, and like they were tiled and had like actual walls and rooms and doors. Like it was really nice. And I was working there, and I'd been working there I think for about 2 years. I've always liked dogs. I've always been a dog person growing up. I was always bringing dogs home, and it drove my dad crazy. But I've always been a dog person, and so working there was probably like the worst thing for me because I had like puppy fever all the time. And I had finally moved out on my own and I wanted to get a dog. And while I was working there, there was like a few breeds that really stuck out to me. So the first one being West Highlands. So West Highlands or Westies are like the little Caesar dog in the Caesar dog food, the little white terrier. We had a bunch of dogs that came in for daycare, and there was these two Westie brothers that came in. And I was in love with them. I thought they were so cute and they were so smart. They were a little stubborn, but I kind of liked that. So originally my mission was to find a Westie that needed rehoming and adopt one. If you know anything about dog breeds, then you know that the West Highlands come from a breed called a Cairn Terrier or a Skye Terrier, and they're essentially the same dog. It's just Cairns are usually blonde or brindle or black, and then Westies were the white versions of the same breed that was bred out of Cairns. So originally I was looking for a Westie, and while I was looking for a Westie, I was on Craigslist and I was looking at puppies up for adoption, and I ran across this page that said Karen/maybe Westie needs rehome, and I clicked on the picture, or I clicked on the ad, and a picture of Wallace popped up. And I wish I still had this picture, but it was just a little picture of Wallace out on a back porch looking into a screen door, and I saw the picture and I immediately was like, I need this dog. This is my dog, I already know. So I like did not even hesitate. I emailed the woman who posted it, and she was like, yeah, you can come get him right now. So Wallace was up for adoption. His rehoming fee was only like $25. And talking back and forth with the lady, she seemed really nice, and she told me that she needed to because I asked why she was rehoming him, because he was only like 4 months old. And in her post, she had said something like she had only had him for like 2 weeks. So I was like, is there something wrong with him? Like, is he sick? So I asked her why she was rehoming him, because I just thought he was the cutest thing in the world. All she ended up telling me was he was too hard to potty train. They couldn't get him to be they couldn't potty train him, and he was just way too hyper for them. Like, they couldn't handle how hyper he was. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm a sprightly 20-year-old, but I can handle hyper, that's fine. So she gives me her address, and I drive to her house, and I'm driving down like to this area that I've never been in before, and it was like a little like historic downtown area. And at first I was like, wow, this is really cute, this is really nice. And then the closer I get to her house, the more I realize I'm in like a really poor part of town. It was all still historic houses, but they were like run down historic houses. And I pull into the address that she gave me, and the house she's in from the outside looks like it's just falling apart. And I'm like really hesitant at that point. Like, I was not feeling good about the whole situation. But I go to the door anyways, knock on the door. This woman opens the door, and I like said her name. I don't remember her name anymore, but I said her name, and she was like, oh yeah, that's me. And she was like, follow me. And I walk in the front of the house. There's nothing in the front of the house except for dilapidation. There's a staircase right in front of the door, and it's covered in boxes. You can't get up the stairs. There is a room directly back behind the stairs. That room is boarded up, and it looks like there's a small kitchen that has like boxes all in it. It looks like and there was a trail from the kitchen into a room directly next to the front door. And that's where she leads me. And I realized that she has a family in this room. It's like a small, maybe 10 by 8 room. Like, it's not big at all. It's a really tiny room. And in this room, there are 4 people, her and her husband, and 2 children. Along with the 2 children, there is Wallace, another dog, a baby like plaything full of bunnies, a bunch of kittens. I want to say there was something else, but it's been a while now. But I just remember standing there in shock, and I walk into the room, she literally basically throws Wallace in my arms, and she's like, there he is, and then holds her hand out for the money. Handed her the money, and I ran out of there, you guys. I ran out of there. And as I'm walking to the car and holding Wallace, he's 4 months old at this point, and I was thinking he should probably be like sturdier and heavier when she handed him to me. I didn't say anything, obviously, because I was like losing my mind. I was feeling around his like ribs because I was really worried something was wrong with him. And guys, I could feel every bone in his body, like every single bone in his body. He wasn't really lethargic, but it's like he didn't have much energy. So I immediately took him to the vet after that. His health was fine. She was like, yeah, he's perfectly healthy. He doesn't have any like worms, no heart issues, nothing. He's just completely underfed. So they had basically not been feeding him. So I don't think he was too hyper. I just don't think they could afford him and needed the money more than they needed another dog. That's how I got Wallace, and he is now going to be 9 years old in April, and I've had him since he was 4 months old. He's my best bud. Wallace, come here. This is Wallace. He is now 8 years old. He is a sturdy dude. So Karens are like really like sturdy and really well built, and he's a good boy. Say, he was a rescue off of Craigslist. I'm glad to have him in my life. This wasn't part of the question, but I picked his name because Karens are a Scottish breed, so William Wallace, that's why. Braveheart, that's why he got his name. So next question down is from Steph, and she asked, did you watch Fantastic Beasts, both movies, and if so, what's your opinion about them? A couple people asked me this, and this is something that I've never talked about because I really don't want people to get mad at me, but you guys asked, so I will tell you. So yes, I have watched both Fantastic Beasts movies. I really enjoyed the first one. I thought the first one was really well done. There's a couple things in the first ones that don't really make sense to me. Not like a huge Fantastic Beasts fan, and I'm a big Harry Potter fan because it's been a part of my life, like my whole life. So for me, Fantastic Beasts just doesn't have the same like magic to it that Harry Potter does, just because, you know, Harry Potter was my thing since like 4th grade all through college, so I have more of a like connection with Harry Potter. But regardless, I do like the entire Harry Potter universe as a whole, so I was really excited when I saw that those movies were coming out. And the first Fantastic Beasts movie I liked a good bit. I definitely think there's some issues with it writing wise and plot line wise, but the first one I could overlook it. The first one was like, okay. And I absolutely love Newt Scamander's character. I find that all fascinating. I love the idea of seeing all of like the magical beasts, because the magical beasts is something that I'm really interested in the Harry Potter universe. Like, I thought when I heard the movie was coming out, I was really excited because I was like, yay, we get a glimpse into something that like we only got like tiny touches of in the original series. And then I saw the second Fantastic Beasts movie. And this is where things get confusing for me. I mean, I was confused from the get-go. I was confused as soon as I heard the name of the second movie. And I was like, Fantastic Beasts. I mean, the first one's called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And then the second one is Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald. And I was just like, what does that have to do with the Fantastic Beasts movie at all? Like, what does that have to do with Fantastic Beasts? And I mean, it just seems like a very confusing plot line to me, and it doesn't really fit. It's like, it reminds me of when I was in college and I would write a research paper and my title would be one thing, but my thesis statement would have nothing to do with the title. That's how I feel about the Fantastic Beasts movies. It just feels like, to me, there was a premise at hand, and then as the premise was being written, it got expanded into a point that doesn't make sense anymore, and that's kind of how I feel about the Fantastic Beasts movies. I love the idea of them. I loved the first one. The second one falls off the wagon for me. It doesn't make sense. I haven't wanted to say this because I don't want to offend anyone, because I know how enthusiastic Harry Potter fans are, because I am one of them. But I didn't like the second Fantastic Beasts movie at all. For one, if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say that plot twist at the very end of the movie, for everyone who has seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about, makes absolutely no sense. Actually makes me angry. I'm going to throw a spoiler alert right here. I wasn't going to say anything, but I have to say this because now I'm getting riled up again. That whole movie messes with the timeline and aggravates me. So like, McGonagall being at Hogwarts in that movie makes no sense because she wouldn't have been of age to be in Hogwarts at that point. There's just a lot of plot holes. And while, again, the original Harry Potter series has plot holes in it as well, but none of them are so glaringly obvious as the ones that have come out in the Fantastic Beasts movies. And what J.K. Rowling is doing with these new movies that annoys me is it seems to be making the universe smaller rather than making the universe bigger. One of the great things about the Star Wars franchise expanding is that the universe got bigger, but with Harry Potter it seems to be doing the opposite, and it just seems to be growing smaller, and everyone seems to be connected. Like, even with Newt, like, Newt's related to Luna Lovegood somehow, and it's just annoying. It's just annoying. Like, I want an expansion, not a diminisher, but that's just me. Now, the next question has to do with Harry Potter as well, and this is from Amalia. She asked, if I had to pick a favorite movie from Harry Potter, what would it be? And then she also asked what my opinion was on the Fantastic Beasts movies. Now, as far as the original Harry Potter series, I think my favorite movie might be The Half-Blood Prince. I would say that one probably is my favorite movie. My favorite book, on the other hand, is Prisoner of Azkaban. I will reread that one a million times. I have the illustrated version of Prisoner of Azkaban, and I literally look at that thing all the time. That one's my favorite book. And then, yeah, I think Half-Blood Prince is probably one of my favorite movies. Next question, Emily asked, what is my favorite book series other than Harry Potter? She said I couldn't pick Harry Potter, so she made it difficult for me. I've read a lot of series. The one that's coming to mind, the one we're reading in our book club, I really, really enjoy. The Shades of Magic series is really good. Also, back in the day, if you would have asked me this question, I definitely would have said the series of Unfortunate Events was a good one. I can go back and reread those as well. Those are just fun to read. Okay, I had to take a small break because I needed to blow my nose and my husband called, so I'm back now. So the next question that Emily asked what is your spirit animal? And my favorite animal is a wolf. I don't necessarily know if that's my spirit animal. I don't really know what my spirit animal is. I would like it to be a wolf because those are my favorite, but... And then her third question was, would you ever visit Nova Scotia? And I've actually been to Nova Scotia before. I took a road trip with my grandparents back when I was 11, and Nova Scotia was our last stop on the trip, and I loved it. It's one of the places I still talk about when I talk about places I want to go back and visit again. It's beautiful, and I was there, I mean, I was 11, so it was a while ago now. I definitely need to visit again, but I have technically been to Nova Scotia before, and I just remember it being super, super beautiful. So the next questions that I see is from Eliza, and she asked, how long have I been married? And I've only been married since August, so not very long. We got married on August 11th of 2018. And then we moved to California not long after. Her next question was, what made you want to start YouTube? YouTube was actually something I wanted to start back in 2008, like when it first blew up, but I was a freshman in college and I was like really, really shy, and like I mentioned, I was kind of lost, didn't really know what I was doing anyways, so I didn't start it then, and I wanted to start it for years, but I was just too shy. I didn't know. I had too much like doubt. So after I graduated college, I was at a really, really low point. My ex had like cheated on me. I had recently moved to Charlotte. I had 2 jobs, hated both of them, and I was just in a really like dark place, and I just needed something to like express myself, and I needed something that I thought would like make me happy or spark joy, as Marie Kondo would say. I just needed something, so I started my YouTube channel as that something, and I haven't looked back since. I've been on YouTube now for 3 years, and I've loved every minute of it. I think it was one of the better choices I could have made for myself at that point, because I was having a rough time in my life at that point. After I started YouTube, I met my husband like almost immediately after starting my YouTube channel. Everything's just been going up since then. And then her last question was, who's your favorite YouTuber that I look up to? I have a couple. I basically have gotten rid of most large YouTubers out of my catalog of subscriptions, but I think one of my favorite YouTubers is still, and probably will be unless something dramatic happens, is Desi Perkins. I absolutely love her. She's pretty much always out of the drama. Her and Casey Holmes are probably the 2 bigger ones that I watch. When I think of people I look up to, it's people that I've watched for a really long time. So Casey and Desi I've been watching for years, so I kind of admire them. So I'm almost done with my makeup. I'm just not feeling, I can feel the sickness just lurking again. So next question is from Alyssa, and then she asked, what are some of my go-to artist songs and bands? So when I was younger, like high school and college, I felt like I was like really in tune to like new bands coming out and like new music. Ever since I graduated college, or basically since like senior year in college, I haven't been keeping up with music at all. I basically listen to the same stuff I've been listening to since early college and high school, because I just don't have time to keep up with anything. So all of these new groups, like I don't know any of them anymore. It became something that was too much work to keep up with, and I just listened to the same stuff. So my favorite band in the world is Thrice. I've seen them a few times. I actually saw them not long after I moved to California, and I've been listening to them since I was a sophomore in high school. So we're going on like 12 years of listening to this one band. They're my favorite. They've always been my favorite. I'm into like alternative rock music for the most part, or like indie music, so a lot of Mumford & Sons, the Avett Brothers. Recently I got into Dodie. Trying to think. I really like Melanie Martinez. I listen to kind of, it's pretty much along, I would say I listen to the umbrella of alternative music. Anything that kind of falls in there. There's too many subgenres now, so I'm just gonna say it that way. I think that's the easiest. Her second question was, how do I like my coffee or tea? Now, if you don't know, I was a barista for 2 years, so I drink my coffee black most of the time. Occasionally I'll spice it up with some sugar, but I can tell the difference between certain coffee beans. I'm kind of a coffee elitist. I've talked about this before. I'm a coffee elitist, so I can usually tell different types of beans for the most part. I can tell good beans from bad beans for the most part as well, and I'm really picky about coffee. That's basically all of the questions I got. I feel like I rambled for a while, and hopefully I didn't miss any. Let me make sure. Yeah, I don't think I missed any. I think I rambled the most about school and about Wallace. Thank you guys so much for leaving questions for me to answer. I feel like this is a better way to get to know me. So that's gonna be everything in this video. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below, and hopefully you hit that subscribe button, and that means I will see all of you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!